Years ago, I decided to write a mission statement for my dog training company. A mission statement should be something short and explain what I do to help dogs and to distinguish my company from others in Boston and around the world. I worked on it for weeks and finally found a perfect mission statement that covers all of my work with dogs. Here it is. We help you to build harmony and structure in your relationship with your dog and teach you to communicate clearly so you can always enjoy your dog. By harmony, I mean a lack of distress. We reduce our human and canine client stress levels so that when something new happens that's stressful, the dog and the human know how to reduce their own stress caused by this new stressor and not to exceed their stress threshold, leading to unwanted behavior from either client. By structure, I mean the human client must demonstrate to the dog that they are in control of the timing of events and the immediate environment that the dog is in. We use that control to establish clear boundaries and expectations for our behavior and for our dog's behavior. Today, I'm excited to talk to you about Heather Beck. Heather helped my company and me improve our delivery on our mission. Heather is a dog trainer and a business owner with lots of experience and employees. She owns K9 Lifeline in Utah, a structured daycare and dog training facility, where she is responsible for the health and training of 150 dogs a day. Heather is an inventor. She's invented at least 2 dog training tools and a different dog training behavior modification philosophy. Heather is an author. She wrote at least 2 books that I know of. Heather is a public speaker, educator, and dog influencer. She has spoken to K9 professionals at several conferences, held seminars all over the world, and mentors many dog trainers, including myself. Although our relationship is special because she's my big sister dog trainer. That's what I call her anyway. She is a sponsor, former board member, ambassador, and member of the year recipient from the International Association of Canine Professionals. And I'm sure she will be a Hall of Famer in that association if she's not already one. Heather is a TV personality. She's appeared on many broadcasts introducing her inventions and talking about dogs. At the beginning of this extended intro, I talked about our mission, the Argos dog training mission. Heather helped me develop our ability to deliver on that mission by giving me access to 25 years of her work. I was the first to complete and achieve the Heather's Heroes Trainer Certificate through her virtual program. I took what I learned during my 12 weeks of study with Heather and developed new programs focused on harmony and structure. Now my clients have practical exercises to help them build harmony and structure in their families. If you have not liked or subscribed to this channel, please do. Then enjoy the interview.
Hello, world. All right, so I'm very excited that I'm here today. Of course, you know me. This is our YouTube channel, so I'm Martin Wright from Argos, Boston, in Boston, dog training, and I'm very excited. I'm so excited. I'm flubbing up my words and all that kind of stuff because I have my good friend Heather Beck with me to talk a little bit about her programs, what she has going on in life, and some of the new things that she's doing right now, and some things that I got involved in as well. So real quick, I'm going to do a rundown about Heather. Very short, very brief. We'll be talking more of this stuff as we go along. Heather moved to Utah in 1995. Unlike most dog trainers, including myself, she was not raised by wolves. I hope my parents don't see this because they'll be very upset with me. She started working in shelters and rescues. She did that for 7 years. She fostered over hundreds of dogs in her home. She wanted to learn everything she could about how to make dogs more adoptable. And then she started K9 Lifeline with the main focus of keeping dogs alive. All right, Heather, welcome. Thank you for coming. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's good to see you, Martin. Thanks for having me. And it's a nice little brief bio. I feel like you touched on most everything. And
No,
yeah,
I did
I've
not.
just I've done all of the things. So I'm excited to, kind of chat with you a little bit because we've gotten a lot of time over this last year, even 2 years, I think, just to really get
Yeah.
to know each other a little bit more and get you familiar with what I do and how I do it. So I feel like that's probably the reason I'm here. So, but yeah, everything's going great and busy as can be. So, and my brain will not stop coming up with more stuff to help dogs and keep dogs alive. So that's all the stuff I'm working on right now.
Excellent. So I do have to push back a little bit. That little inadequate bio was not sufficient. There's a lot more that goes into that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to skip ahead to one of my other questions here because we might as well address that right now. Um, all right. So I know you for a long time.
Yeah.
You're an accomplished businesswoman, entrepreneur, and an inventor. Yet none of those details are found in any of the bios that I find online with you. That had to be intentional. Why aren't those details easy for us to find and access?
I would say it's probably a personal, thing is just I feel I guess it's a bit of imposter syndrome, like, well, definitely where it's hard to kind of put yourself out there. And one of my goals this year and over the last, even 6 months and, even working through this certification process is really getting comfortable with putting myself out there in like the forefront of this, not just tools and techniques, my tools and techniques, but in the industry, that I am a disruptor in the industry, that I am a very successful business owner and female business owner. And I've been at this 27 years now.
Hmm.
And when I first started, it was definitely the boys club. I've got shot down a lot. I got told you can't do what you want to do. Oh, you want to put a bunch of aggressive pit bulls together, it'll never work. I mean, I was literally just pushed down so hard that I think that still kind of resonates in me a bit, is, hey, it's really scary putting yourself out there. And I've been able to organically kind of run below the wire and get my information out there without being I guess just like really slammed, like having a lot of hatred towards me or what I do, because the more you put yourself out there, the more you get a lot of pushback. But and I know it happens, and it does happen, but I feel like I've been on the light end of that. But it's because I kind of keep my head down, and I'm tired of doing that because I've come to the realization that the longer I do that and the more that I do that, the less people I can help, the less dogs I can help. So
Yeah.
I feel like my mission, my new mission, basically coming up in these next couple years, is really to put myself out there, go, shout from the mountaintops, like what I've done, what I've created, how it has disrupted an industry, how this is the most innovative tool that has come out of dog training in over 40 years,
Hmm.
coming through what we're doing and how it can help, and to really knock down a lot of the misconceptions about the general category of head collars, and why the Sidekick is different and why this training process is so different and comfortable and feel good for the dogs and the owners. So I feel like it it was intentional then, but times are changing now because I literally have to put myself out there, and I've got to be willing to do that. But I think I needed to really be comfortable in my own skin to be ready to do that, and then that can be really hard. It can be hard.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely understand that. Because I kind of am in the same point. My answer, if you ask me that question, is because it's about the dogs. Leave me alone.
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah, that's a great cop out, Martin. Good job.
that would be my answer if I was on the
Yeah,
other end. But definitely, we want to help people, and the things that you have done in your experience, I think, will help you to show other people who have those same kind of qualities, those same kind of interests, that there's a path, and motivate them. You know.
yeah.
So that was the hard question. We'll get right past that. So tell me, you've been doing this for 27 years, working with dogs, working with people as a dog trainer. Can you tell me a little bit about your early experience, your first 5 years, your first 2 years? Tell me a little
As a
bit about
trainer
that
or
as a
trainer or
trainer,
working in rescue? As a
trainer
trainer.
working in rescue, your early development, because both of those things have developed over this, 20, I can't even believe it's that
Yeah.
many years. You don't look it. You look
Right. Well, I'm only 29. How is this even possible? How is this even possible?
I'm
So,
just saying.
yeah.
But over these
So
27 years.
yeah, I mean, I would say that, I did not have a dog growing up. If I did, which we did have a couple dogs, but we were horrible dog owners. Like we were horrible dog owners. Any animal, mostly we had cats, but any animal that we had was actually killed on the road in front of my house. So I lived on a very busy road. It was, just a 2-lane out in the country, 55 miles per hour. I grew up in Wisconsin, and any animal that got out of the house was hit and killed on that road.
Ouch.
So any dog that we had did not last long, if they made it out of the house. So when I grew up, I worked a lot more around horses. This is where a lot of my background and my animal intuition was born, was being around animals. I definitely always had a love for animals and empathy towards them. That was just very innate. That's something that I don't feel can be developed later in life. Like it's just something that is just within you, and it's the things that draw us to these types of industries. But then when I moved out to Utah, I was going to college, wasn't really working on horses. So saw an ad in local newspaper. Yes, that's a newspaper, people. It like folds up. It's got writing on it.
I remember
So I
those.
saw an ad about helping out at a local adoption event. So I went to my first adoption event. And from there, it was literally all downhill because I dove in with both feet. I absolutely loved it. I started volunteering a ton. And in that time, I mean, looking back now, just at all the things I didn't know, like just how naive I was, it wasn't really a save them all mentality, but I couldn't find faults in many dogs. Like I couldn't find faults in many dogs.
Right.
And, now when I it's very hard for me to go to adoption events because I'm like, oh man, that dog, oof, look at the body language. Oh my gosh, look at that kid hugging him. Look at, there's so much more. I wish it's, and I call it kind of the burden of information. The struggle is very real once you know what you know, and you can't unknow it. So, I miss those days. I wish I could go back to just being like, oh, dogs, every dog is great and they're lovely. And, the more that you do it, the more that you start to, I don't even want to say jaded, but you just start to learn more and recognize more. And it does become very burdensome, I guess. But that's what developed me into wanting to help more. So as I was working in rescue, I started learning, first 2 dogs I took home to foster were 2 Basset Hound St. Bernard mixes. They were sisters. They were about 2 years old. So they were about a foot tall and 4 feet long. And I didn't know anything about dogs. So I bring them home with my dog who I had adopted. His name was Beast, my very first dog. And I bring him home with my dog, and they're running all over my couches. They're peeing all over my couches. And of course I put down the food for them to eat. I was like, okay, everybody, time to eat. And, looking at that now, I'm like, what was I thinking? But I didn't know.
Right.
This is when I say what I mean. Like, I was not raised by wolves. I was not raised by wolves in the fact that I made every single mistake that I tell clients and I try and deter them from making because I've done it. And anyone that acts like they have never made a mistake, it just blows my mind. So no, yeah, my dog attacked one of those dogs, ended up causing like a bunch of puncture wounds. I didn't know. I just didn't know.
Right.
So, in those early years, it was really a lot of trial and error because not once again, but from the newspaper comments, social media was not a thing.
Right.
So there was no way to really learn except for by trial and error, So then I started learning about crate training. That was one of the first things I learned about as I was going through and fostering dogs in my home. I definitely learned about leash work, like just getting a dog, the first realization I had was actually on the prong collar. And at the time, there wasn't the battles that there are now, it just wasn't, it just didn't matter, it just wasn't there. There just
Yeah.
wasn't as much access. So the first time I ever put a prong collar on a dog that was just literally just yanking people all over the place. And I specialized in large breeds and pit bulls. So I was dealing with some very difficult, strong bred dogs. And the first time I just made a turn on the prong collar and the dog went, oh, hey. And then within another turn, the dog started walking with me. I was just blown away. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. So all I saw was the effectiveness. And in my mind, the first thing that clicked was, oh my gosh, it's going to be so much easier to get this dog adopted because he's not pulling, he's not dragging, and I wasn't thinking about technique. I wasn't thinking about heel, sit, because
Mhm.
I could take all of these foster dogs and even my own dogs, I could take them through obedience classes. And I don't know if I've mentioned this to you before, but I have never actually completed an obedience class. Never one time. Never once.
That
Because
is amazing coming from you. So yeah, that is amazing. When you guys get a
never.
chance, definitely look into Heather and into the work that she has done, because the fact that you've been able to do what you've done without doing any of that is amazing. You know,
That's crazy.
that is amazing. One thing though, but there had to be like people, dog trainers, key figures, if you will, who shaped your journey. As you were starting your career, like you had to go, because I remember back then too, because I was just starting out, I was starting to get
Yeah.
started, and I remember like it wasn't the way it is today where everybody's so connected. Like I could get any
No.
dog trainer's number in like a second now. I know
Yeah.
they exist wherever, like dog trainers all over the world. I know them, I've met them, I've talked to them online or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be. But back in those days, there was Jim, he was good with dogs and he charged you $50 and he would look at your dog a little bit,
Yeah.
talk to you for a little while, and then would help you to solve things. But
Yeah.
I know from my development, it required me to get around people who knew, what was
Yeah.
going on and befriend them, people like you, of course. So yeah, in those early days, who were your figures? Who were the people that you looked up to, and how did you find them?
Yeah, so the transition from rescue into training was I did go out to California. I was invited out to go to this new school, and I was like, oh man, because I felt, I was drowning as far as dealing with the rescue side of things. And at that point, I'd been running that rescue about 8 years. I had, 16 kennels. I would do 75 adoptions a month. I was, going to adoption events every weekend. It was 24/7. And I just knew it was time for a change. So when this opportunity came up, I took it. And I went out there, I trained with another trainer. And it felt at the time like it was the experience I was supposed to have, which was, like being bullied, being talked down to, being treated like shit, not getting paid, like it felt like that was the way in,
Mm-hmm.
and at the time it
It
was,
probably was, yeah.
at the time it was. So it was, it was just kind of like, I guess this is just what I need to do. And so I just put my head down and I just, learned what I could. And a lot of what I learned was just who I didn't want to be and how I didn't want to be. And watching this particular trainer work with clients was very disturbing. Just nitpicking a lot of like personality traits, like things that you can't change. Like it felt very wrong. So I kind of took the things that I took, but through that experience, I started hearing about the IACP, the International Association of Canine Professionals. So first thing I did was I joined, and then I signed up to do an e-collar workshop with Martin Deely and Mark Goldberg. So I actually went to their very first workshop that they ever did at Martin's place in Florida. And from there, I basically have attended every conference since. And back then, this was the day, like this was the thing. This was how to get to know other dog trainers. So it was like all of a sudden this whole thing had opened up to me. And that, original person that I worked with, I said, oh, wow, I can't believe there's other people out here that will not treat me like that want to encourage me, that want to embrace me. And I'll tell you, the first time I went out into the field working with Martin Dealey, I was like an abused puppy. Like, like I was really like gun shy. I was waiting to get yelled at for everything because I mean, I would get yelled at for how I picked up poop for, working with this other person. It was like, I couldn't do anything right. I like could not do a single thing right. So, as we're out in the field, and I'm just, like just kind of like flinching every time he talks, kind of, but then I started to settle in, got to know Mark, attended my first conference. And the world was just open. So then, I started going to other workshops. I went to Chad Mackin's very first Back to Basics workshop.
Mm-hmm.
And I met Jason Vasconi and saw my first large field socialization and said, I don't know what this is, but I need to figure out how to do this. What I had learned from Chad for doing indoor and then what I had seen Jason do outdoor, and immediately came home and rented a new space. Like at that time, I had transitioned away from the rescue and started doing in-home training. So I had done that for a couple of years. And then I got my first space to be able to start running indoor socials. And I literally started within a month. I had done my first like with client off-leash social in about oh God, it was so small. It was so small. It was crazy. I don't know how I pulled it off, but I did that. But yeah, those are some of my influences and people, obviously Martin has passed away.
Yeah.
I definitely consider those guys some of my mentors and people that I definitely look up to. And a lot of people that I've met through the IACP have been just so comforting and embracing. And that's what I love about it. I mean, there are some people that are just there, just to show themselves off. But I feel like the vibe and the network that goes along with the International Association of Canine Professionals is what I want it to be. It's definitely changed a lot since Martin has passed, but I definitely feel like that's why I'm such a strong supporter and advocate, is because I want somewhere for people to be able to network and feel safe and comfortable and learn, how to find mentors. Like it's a great place to find a mentor, whether it's me, whether it's somebody else, whether it's just a friend that you vibe with or somebody that you can call on a regular basis and say, wow, I had a really crappy day. That's a good place to start.
Definitely. That's how I believe I met you. I believe it was
100%.
2012. I believe
Oh,
it was
man.
2012.
Mhm.
I think that was the SeaWorld.
Oh, yeah, that was the first time I was outside of Hutto.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that
And
was a fun one. I think there was about 80 people there.
yeah, and that was the one I
Mhm.
think that I first met you at and changed my life. That is true about the IACP, that it is a good place to go and network with like the best dog trainers in the world.
Yeah.
Seriously, there's a lot of really good dog trainers there.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
Well, and you may learn. You may go, hey, I thought I really wanted to get to know that person, and you get to meet him in person and you go, ooh, maybe that's not for me,
yep,
or you meet somebody that you didn't expect and you go, wow, that person's really for me. Like, or that's somebody that I really have a lot of respect for. And I will say, yes, I have not ever finished an obedience class, but I definitely value, I definitely value, everything that other trainers do.
good.
I love watching anybody, working intuitively with an animal and being able to bring that out of them. So that's one of the things I love about IACP, is it does bring a lot of things into the forefront of saying, wow, that's a really cool approach, or that's something I never would have thought of, and love it.
So my first mentors and teachers,
Hmm.
their way of handling behavior modification was through obedience.
Yeah.
Tell the
Hmm.
dog what to do, and that was it. Just
Yeah.
keep telling them what to do. The thing that I like about your training and is that it's not about telling them what to do. It's about establishing, helping them to think it through, really, and establishing a good foundation, or good, clear boundaries and expectations, structure,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
um, and once you have that structure, the behavior seems to kind of come out of that, right? Like you
Yeah.
don't need to
All
be
the bad stuff just goes away.
yeah, you don't need to
Bye.
tell them a whole bunch of things to do when they know, what's outside the boundaries.
Yeah.
So that's what I liked
Yes.
about it. But talking about that term dog trainer, the term dog trainer is often used to describe our profession, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that accurately represents you? I kind of feel like I know the answer now that you told me you didn't pass the one obedience class, but
Yeah.
but maybe not.
Yeah. I honestly, I always call myself a dog trainer, but it's only because I feel like that's what gets people to me. You know what I mean? Like that's like, oh, I have a dog that has an issue. So it's like, okay, yeah, I'm a dog trainer. Like I could help you. But I definitely am more of a mentor. I'm more of a guide. I'm more of, um, I really am just more of a helper. Like I really help to guide the people to do it. So I don't know what term to use besides that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I just don't know what term to use besides that. That's just too confusing. And especially now, God, with all the the like the trainer wars, it's like, oh, I'm a balance trainer, I'm a positive reinforcement trainer, I'm this, I'm just like,
oh we
honestly, I'm just a dog trainer, like come on
oh,
over.
oh, we don't mention trainer wars on this channel.
Oh good, I love it, let's
But I mean
not.
it's cool. It is going out there. I don't mean to
Yeah.
be cut you off or be in any way, a misogynistic dog trainer. But it is out there. But my thing is
Yeah.
kind of like yours, where it's like, you know what, that's BS. I'm not gonna spend
Yeah.
any energy on it at all. I'm
Well, and the dog owners don't care. The dog owners don't care. For everyone out there having these battles and going back and forth and wasting your time, you're wasting your time because the people aren't going to find you that way. They don't care. They just don't care. They want help for their dog. They want help for their life. They want help for them. So, yeah, get
yeah.
over it. Get
Yeah.
over it. So,
The other problem, see, I don't consider myself either a dog trainer, but when people are going, like I train dogs, sure, but that's not
yeah,
the majority of what I mean. That's like 20% of it is training the
yeah,
dog. Most of it
mhm,
is teaching people, connecting with them,
yes,
introducing my ideas in a way that makes them want to be at least a little interested in trying. It's hard, to change
yeah,
our own habitual behaviors. I consider myself more along the line of coach. But if the lady
yeah.
has a dog that's pulling her on the leash, nobody types in dog coach near me. Right?
Exactly. Well, that's what I mean. It's like
Nobody
how do
does.
I find that? So like we can't redefine what the general population already knows us as,
Yeah.
like that's the hardest thing is we just can't redefine that, like what people are Googling, like dog trainer near me. So yeah, so you kind of just got to fall into that. And then once you're in the door, then you do become a mentor and a coach and a guiding light, sometimes even a shoulder to cry on for people. I mean, a lot of the dogs we work with are so difficult and the people are really at their wits end and the dog is about to be, euthanized. So it's like, yeah, I mean, you really can become more. We're always more than just a dog trainer,
Yeah.
maybe marriage counselor, maybe therapist, not that I need all of those titles, but
That
it's just more than that. It's
that
so much
stuff
more than that.
that stuff scared me so much as a young dog trainer, like the
Yeah,
marriage stuff. Now, even now, it's like it's a tough thing because you really as a professional working with dogs and working so closely with families, you really have no choice and there's no way to avoid seeing and being on the inside for that
yeah,
short period of time.
yeah. No, I 100% agree. And it's like,
It's really
it's just more, it's just so much more than dog trainers. So, but that's the way in. That's definitely the way in.
all right. We're gonna take a short break here and we will be right back. Okay, so I'm back with Heather Beck here, K9 Lifeline, Heather's Heroes, all those wonderful things. All right, so let's just pick up where we left off. Can you share with us your inspiration behind creating the Heather's Heroes Certified Trainer Program? I didn't mention
Woo.
anything yet about the Sidekick Leash, so maybe this is opportunity to talk about that a little bit. How did you envision, your new invention, your new tool, and your training on how to use this tool? How did you envision that would change or shape, the dog training industry?
That's a heavy question. I
Like
think,
weights.
I would say it basically started with exactly the same reason why I'd never finished an obedience class, was because it just didn't feel right. Like it just didn't feel right. So once I got introduced to like head collars, like learning that you could put like head collars onto a dog, I started working a lot with the Halti, which it's a very different design now. Like I unfortunately just wouldn't recommend it at this point. But I started doing a lot of work with that, and it was very similar to what I was familiar with, which was working with horses and the pressure on and pressure off. But it just did not work in all the ways I wanted it to work. So like it came from the bottom of the head, which a lot of people had a lot of problems with. I had to order multiple sizes. So I had zeros up to, I never had fives, because fives I could actually fit on like large animals like cattle and things. So a five was just huge. But I had to always have multiple sizes in stock. Then I also had to order leashes to work with it. So the Sidekick, we're kind of taking back the name Transitional Leash, because that is like my actual trademark name, and it's become like Kleenex. So we're actually doing a big marketing thing right now to take back like Sidekick Transitional Leash, because when we were on The Profit on the TV show, we rebranded to the Sidekick, and I feel like I just let go of 12 years of really disrupting the industry with the transitional leash. So I'm really working to take that back. But when I was working in animal control, we used to use just the slip lead as a figure 8 over the dog's face as a temporary muzzle. So we would do that and then be able to kind of like wind it up on the dog's face when we had to move them around. Our dog was really aggressive. And I had a dog in, I actually remember her name. Her name was Matilda. And she was like an old English bulldog, human, dog aggressive. Her face was too wide and her nose was too short. She did have a nose, because she was like the old English, so not so stocky like like where there's no face. A dog has to have a face for this tool. So I had her in, and she was so aggressive, it was hard to get anything on her face, but even the Halti just wouldn't fit on her properly. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to give this a go. And I had built enough of a relationship with her over those couple of days that I was able to just, put that onto her as just kind of the figure 8, put it on her, and that made a huge difference, world of difference. I was able to start communicating with her in a way that I wanted to, the way that really was super beneficial, which with the head collar, people just don't understand the benefit of that pressure on and pressure off through that pressure point on the bridge of the nose. So I started working with her with that. And then it just kind of developed from there, where I was like, okay, how do I get it to fit better? How do I make sure it's safe? Because, the second, if you just put that on there, it's so irresponsible to not have some sort of safety on it. And what I had started doing was adding, a loop or a safety onto it, but I was finding it was hurting the dogs. So I see a lot of trainers doing that now, just trying to, save money and just throw something on the leash, and it just hurts the dogs. So we ended up coming up with the ESIC underneath with the safety attached. So it clears all of this. I put it on thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dogs. That iteration came out in 2016, I think. So it is patented. So that one came out in 2016. And I keep upgrading that version. So we just added a new safety with the clip on it. But through the entire process, like the training process, it really, once again, was just do it what felt right for me, and a lot of the obedience stuff just didn't feel right. So working through, this process, getting the dog comfortable, just teaching the dog how to be a dog in the very first step of just teaching the dog how to be calm. Movement was not the benefit in this tool. It was teaching the dog how to be calm. Dogs are real good at moving. Dogs are really good. That's what they want to do. But getting that mindset first is the first step in my entire process. So that was very different than anything I had learned. Everything I had learned was jack the dog up, talk to him in a high pitchy voice, squeaky voice, use treats, do this, do that. So getting that change, and then developing the program from there, how to get walking smoothly, with the dog calmly next to you, getting them on a loose leash. And then not just working with the tool, but then being able to take the tool off and still have that same calm mentality, or to be able to transition the pressure of the leash to other pressures like eye contact and body language, or even social pressure, of somebody maybe approaching the dog, having the dog make a better choice. So that was the development of the program, and it's simple and effective. And for me, I cannot focus long enough to really understand a lot of the nuances that go along with a lot of the other types of training. That's why I couldn't finish. Like, I literally just got bored with it. Like, I was like, I don't understand. I don't. And plus, anything I would do with the dog in an obedience class didn't translate into my house. Never. Unless I had a bunch of treats on me, unless I was, as animated as I was in the class, it did not translate. So that had to happen for me. I had to see and create something that worked for me. And watching it work for so many other people is what kept developing this, and how much people vibe with it, and plus, God, we now in particular, we live in such a right now society that the beginning of the process feels slow because you have to be patient, but the outcome happens very fast, and it is a lifestyle change. So if you can get through that first, the first teaching calm, everything else after that is going to be so much easier and just really, really resilient for the lifestyle for you and the dog.
Definitely understand that. And I've noticed that since I started picking up the program and doing it. Now, for me, I came out of a trainer or a mentor or a system that was mainly about communication training. I am a little bit different. I always take things apart to try to figure out how they work. And in the process of taking apart obedience training, first of all, I don't even train obedience anymore. I train communication, which is a
Yep.
little different than obedience the way I think of it, right?
Yeah.
Obedience is I tell you what to do, you do it, and right.
Yeah.
Communication is I'm reading information from you as much. What's your mental state? What's your energy level? What's the chance that when I tell you to do this that you're going to do it? And
Right.
those kind of things. And then figuring out how it worked. I got a lot of that obedience stuff to work, and I'm a good, established, successful trainer in a lot of ways,
Mm-hmm.
but did notice that for clients it was a lot harder to pick up just the basics, just the what I call foundation, just the structure of like how to live with dogs. We didn't get a lot of time to talk about that because I was so focused on obedience.
Yeah.
With your program, what I always tell people is my mission's always the same: is create harmony, develop
Mm-hmm.
structure, and teach communication, so that way you guys could communicate, right? That's the
Yeah.
big thing. I spent most of my time working on developing communication,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I would talk with my clients like, hey, my dog barks at the door. Well, maybe you should not let them be that close to the door. And they would have that conversation, right? Put them in the crate when somebody comes, put them behind the baby gate, whatever the case may be. Don't let them just hear the doorbell and charge to the door and amp themselves up.
Right.
We'd have that conversation, but there was no follow up, as in these are exercises you can practice in order to stop your dog from charging at the door and let them know.
Right.
We didn't have
Yeah.
those things. It would have to be, all right, then you need to have a leash on your dog. You need to tell them to go to place. You need to, you need to
Mm-hmm.
do all these other things. But your program, it really helps people to practice structure, to practice how to just set up rules so that way the worst things cannot happen, you
Right.
know, and
Yeah.
how to get the dog to be in a calm state of mind and to do it without it feeling a lot like rules, you know?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. You got it. Well, you went through the whole process, and I know you were having a lot of like internal struggles like with it. And I have dealt with a lot of trainers that come, and they have, I think my biggest thing with, the original question was creating this Heather's Hero Certified Trainer course. And the big motivation behind it was like, because at first I was working with a lot of people coming into the program or coming to like workshops and shadow programs where they didn't know what I was teaching, had zero clue.
Right.
Now there's a lot of people trying to teach what I do, but they still don't have a clue.
Right.
And even after they attend a workshop, so I get a lot of people that come to workshops now where the dog has already been trained onto the sidekick, but it's bad. Like it's just bad. And they're trying to morph, they're trying to morph obedience. They're trying to morph like different concepts and ideas. And so my mission with the Heather Serial Certified Trainer course was to show people and get people to understand the process in the way that is the most simple and the most effective. The biggest complication I see of most trainers is they just want to make it harder than it actually is. It's not as hard as everyone wants to make it out to be. So, and they try and simplify it. So like at the beginning, I say, hey, let's not use food right now. Like we want to create calm, and food can be very exciting for a lot of dogs. Doesn't mean I have no problem with food, but at the beginning of this process, we're trying to create calm. So you're going to be counterproductive with a lot of dogs by introducing food at the same time that you're trying to teach
Right.
calm. So and they're constantly trying to morph those things and kind of cheat the process a little bit. And they think they're doing it in the best way possible. And I'm like, no, please just trust the process. Do the process in the way that I'm telling you. And once they do it even once or twice, they go, oh, I get it. And then the light bulb goes off. So my whole point with creating this course is really just to get people out there, they're certified trainers that really understand the process, the technique, the tool, and the way that is the most effective. And I can say this proudly, I am the world leader in this tool and this technique because I designed it. I invented it. I am the one that has created this process. And not only did I create it, but it has been proved on, thousands, if not tens of thousands of dogs now.
Yep.
Because, at K9 Lifeline, we've got 150 dogs here a day,
Right.
so we're constantly practicing, we're constantly innovating, we're constantly seeing what works best. And hey, I've tried the way people try and like do the system in a different way where I'm like, all right, cool, I'm going to try it with food. I can't. Like, I just can't. It's not as beneficial for the dog. But I do know a lot of trainers that are successful with that and feel successful, but it's just a little different than what I'm having success with. So yes, does it work that way? Of course it does. Does it pair with other tools? Like, does it pair with the e-collar? Absolutely. You can pair it on all sides of the training spectrum. But this program is meant to really teach people the most effective way to get the dog from point A, the dog and the client from point A to point B. So
Yeah.
that was the point of the course.
That I mean, that is very clear. And not only that, I notice when I'm doing it. So I'm certified now. When I first
Yeah,
started,
woo, first,
when
very
I first
first. Woo, woo.
started, I had to get there on the phone with you, Heather, and because as I said, I've been training for a little while. I know what
Yeah,
works. I have clients; they're coming to me like, "This is a problem," and this is a brand new program that I'm learning. So it took a little bit, but I had to completely like, all right, I'm gonna do exactly what I'm told here. That was hard.
that
So I
you can
understand
do you
other
can do
dog
hard
trainers
things.
from that
Yeah.
aspect. But since I have you here, now I've been doing it for a little while, right? And I understand the
Yeah.
process. So now I'm ready. I feel like I'm ready. I haven't started really doing it yet to like add a little bit of what I do to the process. But even so, I'm hesitant because the thing that this trains, or what I think is the most crucial, and maybe you could tell
Mhm.
me if you disagree, but the thing that is most crucial that this system trains or teaches the dog is how to calm down.
Yeah.
And through that calming down, what they learn is how to trust the one who's handling the leash.
Yeah.
And that trust makes it so that in any situation, regardless of what it is, you could ask the dog to calm down and they know that they can trust you to keep them safe. Right? And so it takes away the reason for any anxiety or uncertainty in the dog's mind, which makes it really easy, for them. So that is important. Adding food. I have this one little dog now who
Mhm.
she's been already through training before, so she's a little bit different than a dog who comes off the street. And for her, I feel like she's the kind of dog where I feel like I want to touch a little bit more. I want to add more food. I want to do more things. And I'm like, all right. And with her, she doesn't respond like other dogs. Like other dogs, you pet
Mhm.
them, they get excited or they get
Yeah.
nervous. She just kind of
Yeah.
is stoic, but
Yeah.
nothing really pushes her except for the few things that do, right?
Yeah. Does
Um,
she stay calm around food? Does she take food?
she's hesitant with taking food. She won't take it from
Yeah.
everybody,
Hmm.
and if she doesn't trust you, she won't take it. She'll take it from me,
Yeah.
and in just about any situation, now that we've been working on this calming down, I'm actually
Hmm.
using that as a little bit of a barometer to see how she's feeling in different
Yeah.
situations.
Well,
Because
and honestly, Martin, this is why working with dogs is more of an art than a science, is like, because you're recognizing that that dog could use a little bit more of a pick me up,
right,
to say, hey, are you in the right state of mind that you are willing to take food from me? That's great. That's letting you know that the dog is calm enough to take food.
yeah,
And not getting excited about it, and you're able to work in that environment. So yeah, I mean, that's a very different situation than somebody basically trying to get the dog to put their butt to the ground for food at the beginning of the process conditioning the tool.
right,
Very different. It's very different, so
yeah,
and at that point, even, at that point, when I talk about the supportive shadowing section of the book, I mean, that's where I'm like, yeah, bring in food, use food. And at this point, there you go. And you do want them to at that point, you do want them to get excited because you have created the calm already.
yeah,
So for this little dog, introducing the food, isn't necessarily just about excitement. It is about, just like you said, it's about testing, hey, where is this dog mentally? And one of the things you said about the dog's trusting you. So I always say, um, in when I'm working with the dogs, is I say, when I start these conversations with the dogs on the leash, is when they first put their butt to the ground through this process, it is kind of that lowering of status. It's saying, okay, because I'm not asking for sit with a treat. It's very different. It's a very different
hmm,
mentality. With the sit for a treat, you're getting physically something, but mentally they're just waiting on the treat, you
right,
know? And it sounds like that's not the issue with this dog. That's not what you're looking at. But with this, the first time that you get that dog to put their butt to the ground, that is them being respectful of that communication and of that the roles, like, okay, I'm going to put my butt to the ground. I'm not 100% on board with this yet. I'm going to look away. I'm going to be in avoidance. I'm just not going to get on board with this 100% yet. But as you start being consistent with your pressure off, your communication, you're not too heavy, you're not moving too fast, you're not too scary, you're not too loud, you're not too jerky with the leash.
hmm,
What's going to happen is that trust will build, because
hmm,
trust is kind of easy to get. Like, I don't want to say it in easy, but it's just a terminology thing, and how I explain it is, for trust, I mean, I can get any dog to trust me pretty quick, whether it's toys, food, like, yeah, they get me. But the trust, the respect, when you get that side with the trust on top of it, that's the more impactful part of this relationship, is
yeah,
saying, okay, you respect, but now, hey, when we're out on a walk and something scary comes along, and I calm you down, or I'm just right there to protect you, that dog will start looking up at you like, oh yeah. So
hmm,
then, you've built the respect, and then the trust happens very quickly through that, and you'll start seeing it on the walks when the dogs start kind of checking in with you, on their own,
yeah,
without saying, watch me, look at me, don't look at the other dog, do this. It's like, I need them to look around the universe, but when they start giving me that kind of, check-ins, I know that we've conquered kind of both
okay.
sides of the trust and respect spectrum. So it's very, very powerful. Like, simplicity is powerful in dog training. It's
Yeah.
very powerful.
Yeah, it is. But the thing about this dog, for me,
Hmm.
using the food a little bit, what I think I'm going to be able to do is to change the dog's state of mind from being like a natural pessimist into
Yeah,
being like, hey,
positive.
sometimes good
Hmm.
stuff happen,
Yeah,
but still
no,
having that calm state of mind. And that's
yes,
that's as you said, it's the art. Because if I see that,
yeah,
because she's already, she's been here for a little while. I already went through the first few days where it was just about being calm. Now we're adding on to it. And as the first 4 days where it was just about being calm. Now we're adding more to
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah, and
So
that's the perfect combination. That's a perfect combination. And you've been at this long enough, you know where to make it an art,
yeah, and
And now that
it's
you're recognizing that you have the way to create calm, that's what's missing in a lot of dog training is it's not people are not learning to teach their dogs how to be calm. So
so if
once you have that, you have everything.
yeah, and then if I give a treat and then she starts to get excited, I could be like, "Hey, sweetie, calm down," right?
Yeah. Or
And so
let her
so
get
the same
crazy
thing you're able to.
excited.
What's
Yeah,
that?
you want that. You want the dog to be able to get excited. It's not just about, oh, suppress them, do this, do that. It's like, no, dude, like let's just start with this. And then once you have that, we talk about play, being ways to create artificial excitement, right?
Right.
So I can bring in toys, I can bring in treats, and I can practice with those things to say, all right, let's get crazy, let's get excited. But hey, when the game's over, hey, I just need you to chill out, calm
Yep.
down. I can apply those same concepts to a dog out on a walk who is leash reactive
Yep.
because excitement, reactivity, anxiety, aggression, all of those things are mentally in the same page. So if I can calm excitement, artificial excitement, as I've created, I can calm reactivity and it's magical.
Yeah.
It's magical. It's
Yeah.
magical.
That's the thing is that like this program focuses on the one thing that most people calm down. How many people have to spell dinner because the dog gets too excited?
Right.
How many people excite their dog? Want to go for a walk? Get them already.
Yeah.
Like we're always practicing excitement. I don't know very many who's practicing chill. You
No, and
know,
I people look at me like I got two heads when I say, "Well, what calm activities do you practice with your dog?" They're like, "Huh? Like what do you mean? Like I don't understand. Like what
yeah,
do you mean?" It's like just chill. Just
yeah,
chill.
yeah. That's definitely a thing. All right, so I think we got through all of my questions for you.
Woo!
Thank you again for doing this. Do you have a couple extra minutes? Or are
Yeah.
you all right? We're gonna take a
You're all
short.
it's all today's about you, Martin. You got me.
Sweet. That never happens. And I'm gonna call everybody in this little break to clear my calendar, so I can take advantage of this. All right, everyone, hold on. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. So, as soon as we had hit the stop, Heather said she ain't staying. No, she didn't say that. I actually said I wasn't gonna call everybody and cancel today. That's what I
I enjoy these conversations though, so it's a good way to
good
catch up.
time. It's a good time. We need to spend more time together, Heather. We're
100%.
good friends for a long time now.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, there's one other thing I wanted to talk about, and that is the kid. Tell me about
Oh,
the kid and his buddies.
all right. So, what he means by kid, yes, I have real children too, but I do have a Texas Longhorn that I trained for riding. So he just turned 11 this month.
I'm gonna
Happy
try to
birthday,
get
buddy!
pictures. I'm gonna try to get pictures and have them linked in the description so people can see some of the
Yeah, he's
things.
awesome. He's a lot of fun, but that translated from dogs, like where I was like, dogs are boring. I think I need a 1,200-pound horned beast to tame because I'm an amazing trainer. So if you ever want to get really humbled by something, pick a large animal. So I've got him, and then about 7 years ago, I started getting into camels. So I bought a baby camel. I thought that was going to be fun. I was just having a bad week. So I bought a baby camel and then I learned that camel needed friends and that camel needed a friend. So now I got 4 camels. But in my shadow programs and workshops, Martin got to come out and hang out with the camels. And I have a lot of people come out and learn how to handle my camels because it is very, very similar to how I train dogs, like learning like, hey, you can handle this 1,500-pound animal without having to use a lot of pressure, that's just, once they understand everything, you're good to go. So it's very fun. So that's my house, the K9 Cattle and Camel Ranch.
Nice.
But I love those animals more than life itself. They're
And
amazing.
you've started getting into cats too.
Yeah, I just got a hairless cat. So it's
Yep.
basically my daughter's, but oh my gosh, Martin, I will tell you, I love this cat so much. Like we bought the cat a backpack, we take it shopping with us, we take it on vacation, like and it's
Yep.
hairless. So I like cats. I just don't like all the hair.
Yeah,
and just places they can leave it, like everywhere, like all over.
everywhere.
So this is a
That's
perfect solution. And the cat's just absolutely amazing and so cool. So I love that thing.
That's true. That's cool. So what do you have going on? Is there anything else that you would like to talk about? Any new programs? Because I know that you're always developing new things, new programs, new products. Anything that you want to mention?
Yeah, so we've got definitely, obviously, the book is out. So if you guys want the book, it's amazing. We do have a super pup pack, which is the book and the leash. It's super discounted on the website, heathersheroes.com. You can get both to get started. And something that I'm working through right now is actually an online course for people to be able to walk right through the book with us and the whole training process. It's going to have a ton of support. It's going to be about a 4-week program, but just getting people really familiar with how to best utilize this tool and technique. So I'm hoping to have that launched by the fall, but hopefully August-ish. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. And then obviously the Heather Shero Certified Trainer course is a pretty intensive. You went through it.
I was
Online
first.
course, the very first.
If we rewind it, you could hear Heather actually say that.
I
I
did.
was the first one to complete that program.
I was so
Um,
impressed with you. So impressed. So that's running. So that's up and running. We're really wanting to work through, when people really want hands-on help, I want to know who I can trust and know that I've really vetted them as a Heather Zero certified trainer, that I can send clients directly to them to say, hey, Martin's in your area. Go see him. You need help with this dog. Let's get you going. So that's building out that network. But those are the two big things I'm working on right now. And obviously, probably more to come. We're developing some new products that'll be on the website and launching soon. So keep an eye
Definitely.
out.
I will have the link to that super deal that Heather's talking about
Mhm.
in the description. I'll make sure I use my affiliate link for that.
Yes, very well. You
So
should.
I will have that in the description below. Also, when you do have that program for dog owners up and available and ready, please let me know. I would love to have you on for a 2-minute Tuesday where we'd spend just two
Yay.
minutes to cover it. So we're gonna have to work real fast on that one.
I
But
love that.
yeah, thank you so much, Heather. For everybody out there, Heather, don't you have to tell them to do something? There's something you're supposed to tell them to do
I,
for my
I don't
channel.
know. Oh,
Like,
yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, please like and follow this guy. Like, he's got all
and
the goods.
subscribe and hit the
And
bell.
subscribe. Do all the things. Do all the
Yeah.
things. Whatever you're doing out there, just do all the things. He's smart. He's got great information. He's super impressive, and he's an amazing trainer. This guy is unparalleled. So
Thank
please,
you.
please, please give this guy some love. He deserves it.
And you guys, the ones who watch, know that this channel is always changing. We're always doing unique things. Thank you, Heather, for being for interviewing, which is something we don't do on a regular basis. It takes a very special person, to get that to happen, or a very special situation. But
Oh, I
thank you
appreciate
so
that.
much, Heather. Thank you for all you've done for dog training and what you've done for Argos dog training, and the people of Boston, because now there's a new way. There's a new way, there's a different way that's not really as technical, that is really simple and effective and efficient. So yeah, get your Heather's Become Your Dog's Hero book. And until next time, enjoy your day, enjoy your dog.
Bye, guys.